was a perceptible left-hander around the lake in toward turn 27. The hairpin at the end of the track. Watch that exit wall, very nearly picked up some damage, a little bit of contact there. Smokeezy brushing the wall and over the line. 127.795 ends the first flying lap from Formula Smokeezy. Very respectable time indeed. Who else is on track? We have NMX James in the McLaren just starting a flying lap, but it is the Haas of Cam Mackenzie that'll be next over the line to start a flying lap, but then an Aston Martin of Damir, one of the championship protagonists. So both championship leaders out on track early in Quali 1 to get a banker in, but the next car over the line on a flying lap, I believe, will be TAS Manager in the Kick Sauber, who's just swinging his way through 25-26. As there we go, a 20th car joins the lobby, so we'll have all 20 cars on track today. Always a privilege to commentate when you get such an occasion. It's TAS Manager now over the line. 1 minute 30.5, his best lap time. Jabba now on the run to the line. Hasbaz over the line, 129.6. Puts himself provisional P2. Also out there on the track on a lap, we have Carlos Sainz in the V-Carb car on a set of medium tyres out of the final hairpin, and now Carlos Sainz on the run to the line. And over the line, 32 flat there for Carlos Sainz on the set of mediums. Red Bull over the line in the background. That's EdVeer, a 128.5. EdVeer, who was looking racy 2 weeks ago back in Bahrain, would dearly love to keep that Red Bull up near the pointy end of the field this time around. Welsh Sponge starts a flying lap as the McLaren of NMX James over the line. 128.9, P3 on the banker lap. Remember, NMX James in the chromed McLaren, whereas Ben Wright uses the traditional McLaren livery, if I remember correctly, from 2 weeks ago. It's Damir now over the line, 129 flat, and exactly a tenth of a second behind championship rival NMX James, but Damir did that on a set of the mediums, whereas James used a set of the softs. As also over the line to start a flying lap, I believe, was the Williams of Crytek. Indeed it was, as the Ferrari of FR77 over the line, who, if I remember correctly, is Regent. Regent then over the line, 28.0, closest of anyone yet to Formula Smokeezy's banker lap time of a 28.0, and goes to a provisional P2. Cam Mackenzie over the line on a slow 154.4, so going for a second warm-up lap there is Cam Mackenzie. Eyes on Crytek and Welsh Sponge, both of whom are on flying laps, as Yanaudi over the line to start a new flying lap. Welsh Sponge coming into the last couple of corners now, has the Mercedes of Shork just up the road. Oh, there is Shork getting out of the way. A little bit of slipstream sharing as now Welsh Sponge out of the final corner. Wait to open up the DRS. There it goes. Sponge on the way to the line. 28.8 goes P4 as Shork now starts a flying lap. As Mirko there, the return of Mirko in an Alpine, starts a flying lap. In the background there was FR Formulary, the second car, one of the last cars to join the lobby, I should say, in the Kick Sauber. Formulary. As there is Yanaudi there, who started his lap a couple of moments ago. We just saw him start it, and this lap had been invalidated, so we'll have to go around again, keep the battery recharged, don't take too much life out of the tyres, and Yanaudi will be able to go again in a couple of moments' time when he gets back round. Welsh Sponge's lap time was a very respectable 128.8. Wow, there he goes, just missing turn 15 entirely there. Welsh Sponge 28.872, just in front of the two early season championship protagonists. As going by there was Mirko in the Alpine. Mirko, so often we've seen in MSC F1 at the top of the timing sheets. Would dearly love to get back to that top spot once more again today. And now Mirko out of the final corner, open up the DRS. Just a reminder, of course, 19 cars on the grid. Mirko to the top of the timing tower by 600ths of a second. Just a reminder of how this qualifying session is going to work. We have 19 cars on track at the moment. In this first 18-minute block of qualifying 1, we will lose the slowest 4, from which point the top 15 will go through to quali 2, where they will have 15 minutes to set their best lap time possible, after which point we will lose the slowest 5, and then from then they go, the remaining 10 go to a 12-minute shootout to decide the top 10 grid orders, quali 3 the pole position shootout, and then there will be the 5-minute break before we go racing in Saudi Arabia. As there you see, just while we were just talking through qualifying format, Cinder's there starting a hot lap in the Ferrari and putting it into the wall there, in the same place that Lando Norris did. If you remember the real life Saudi Arabian Grand Prix qualifying, or qualifying or practice, I believe, qualifying all those months ago at the top of the season. Thankfully though, Cinder's just breaking off his front wing, not crashing out entirely, will be able to go round again. It's James G in the Twitch chat saying that was a poor lap from him. As Smokeezy retires from the session, 27.795, banking that will be a lap good enough to see him safely through to quali 2. Yanaudi, after invalidating his first lap, has set a 1:28.447, entirely missed that one altogether, but that puts himself up to P5. Cinders retires from the session this time around. Was that a crash on track? Let's see if we can have a look with one of the V-Carb cars that are going through there. Didn't quite see it, but I think then yes, Cinders has crashed out after missing that, after losing that front wing earlier in the lap. Cinders then out of qualifying, so now we look for the slowest 3 cars plus Cinders to say goodbye. And there you see Carlos Sainz on the outlap, straight on at turn 27 into the wall, losing an end plate. 7 minutes left in quali 1. Carlos will still have time to go get back to the pits, replace that front wing and get a new set of boots on, but just adding pressure there to Carlos Sainz, who set his provisional lap of a 32.0 on a set of mediums, but is currently a full second slower than anyone else. As Ben Wright also in a chrome McLaren to the top of the timing towers, the first one into the mid 27s at 27.393. Yanaudi retires from a session on a 28.447. There's just dropped him down to P15 when he retires, interestingly. So unless that was a crash by Yanaudi, I don't see why that would have dropped him down, as Carlos Sainz, sorry, not Carlos Sainz, Jake the Lad on a banker run, 58.6, invalidates his second lap, so Jake the Lad will need to go back to the box and go again. Beton though, Mirko's teammate, Mirko currently up there in P2 on an outlap. Beton going round to set his first lap time of the day. 6 minutes left in quali 1. Formulary, we mentioned him a moment ago while he was on an outlap, has just gone back to the pits, set a 31.0 to go P14 provisionally. Krytek out there on a lap. Who's on a lap at the moment? Let's go through and have a look. Welsh Sponge is just going through 10.45, I believe, to start on a new flying lap. Daymir is on a flying lap but has bailed there just in front of our eyes. Jabba was on a flying lap but has run out wide there at the end of the first sector. Krytek's on a flying lap but isn't going particularly fast compared to his previous best. And then there is Beton, who is just now swinging through the last couple of corners on the loud pedal for the Alpine. Open up the DRS, shorten the run to the line as much as you can by staying to the left hand side and over the line. It's a 28.557 that goes to P6 provisionally. Ben Wright on a slow lap there, just crawling back to the pits. Carlos Sainz back out on track with a new front wing after he put it in the bin a couple of moments ago. Formulary also out there on track as well on an outlap. NMX James also too now on an outlap. EdVeer's on a push lap, it seems, on a new set of medium tyres. Over the first sector split, only losing 0.08 of a second compared to a previous personal best, 28.573, that sees him now in P7, thanks to Beton's time. Mirko is also on a push lap here in the Alpine. That P2 not good enough really for Mirko. Slower though by 0.09 of a second in the first sector. Ben Wright retires from the session with 4 minutes to go. That feels like a fairly safe bet. He'll get through to quali 2. Meanwhile, Formulary on the run to the line to start a flying lap. As the game glitched out there for a moment on the timing screens. Carlos Sainz, meanwhile, over the first sector split on his new personal best attempt, and down by 1.3 seconds to his personal best. I would definitely see him marching himself up the order a little bit if he can keep that pace through for the rest of the lap. So I want to see how Mirko's lap comes to a finish as he comes out the final couple of corners now. In the Alpine, on the run to the line, his teammates sits P7. He improves by 0.14 of a second, but does not improve his position. But that 27.595 should see himself fairly safely through to quali 2 with 3 minutes to go. You would suspect, meanwhile, Formulary on the run to the line to end his next improved lap time. 2 minutes 50 left on the clock. Formulary, not sure what's going on with the timing tower there. Whether that was an invalidated lap or starting a new one, but have to figure that one out as we go. No, Formulary there leaving the session. As Krytek, Tasmanager, Jabba, Schultz, Damir all on outlaps. Welsh Sponge retires from the session on a 28.8, depending on how much this track rubbers in, which it is definitely prone to do in real life. That could be a big risk there from Welsh Sponge, but with what's the gap? Unaldi on a 28.447 is seemingly the cut-off point in P15. As Jake the Lad starts a flying lap to, well, his first real flying lap of the day, as his current bank lap is a 158.6. Please speak. Oh, please tell me I haven't just been muted all through quali 1. I can't believe I've done that, guys, on stream. Can you just confirm you can hear me, can't you? And you could hear me all the way through quali 1. Because I'm going to be gutted if you couldn't beforehand. I'm going to be really, really gutted if you couldn't hear me during quali 1. Well, welcome, folks, to qualifying 2 of this, the third round of season 7 of MSC F1. We're here at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. It's sharp on comms. This time you can hear me. Please forgive the fact that I've just done quali 1 without you being able to hear me. We had some exciting moments there at the end with Carlos Sainz going for a lap to try and get himself out of quali 1, but was unable to do so. So the 5 we've lost then so far with our Yanaudi, TAS manager, Formulary, Carlos Sainz and Cinders. For reference, that is 1 Red Bull, both Kick Saubers, and a V-Carb and Cinders in the Ferrari. I've been having an absolute great time just talking to myself, then, it would seem, over the last 18 minutes or so, as with 12 minutes to go in the session, all 15 cars are out on track. And the reason, Sponge, that you have to keep reminding me to turn my mic on every now and then is because I'm a working human being, and I got home with literally 5 minutes to go before session start time. So while doing a mic check, I mute myself at the end of the mic check just to confirm everything's working. And then I had to blow my nose. Ah, no, you could hear me at the start of qualifying, Sponge. I just forgot to unmute after I blew my nose at the end of qualifying 1. So there we go. Anyway, the first lap times of quali 2 are coming in now, and Regent's gone to the top on a 27.365. Cam McKenzie a 28.1 and Beton a 30.2. I did do a mic check. Sponge, it's not you. You did hear me. You can go back and watch the top of the stream, and the mic does work. I'm not going mad. As Cam McKenzie puts it into the wall on the inside of turn 4. And that means we've lost our first driver in quali 2. Crashing out on the inside at turn 4. 3 wheels left on that wagon. Smokeezy on an invalidated lap on the run to the line. I've stopped being an absolute spanner in the meanwhile. NMX James over the line, a 130.0 on what I presume are a set of scrubbed softs, although they don't particularly look that scrubbed. Shulk on a 130.3, JEDDAH on a 29.4. So the track seemingly has gotten slower between quali 1 and quali 2. We have 10.5 minutes left on the clock here already. Back in the pits are Crytek, Ben Wright and EdVeer. We've lost Cam McKenzie crashing out, so he will then be out of qualifying 1. Out at qualifying 2, I should say. As we go now, following Formula Smokeezy on his second attempt at a flying lap here after invalidating his first time round. Making his way through to the start of the final sector, as on the timing tower, Mirko puts in a line, a 27.450 to go to provisional P2, just under a tenth of a second off the back of Regent. Jake the Lad set a 28.9 to go P3. Welsh Sponger 29.415 lies P4. Hasbraz on a 29.467 lies P5. Damir 29.7 P6. As Formula Smokeezy over the line, a 135.8, slowest yet of anyone so far with a registered lap time. NMX James a 30.0. The 2 championship leaders not having a particularly good qualifying weekend here so far at the top end of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. as Formulary able to rejoin the session. Unfortunately, Formulary, one of the Kick Sauber, driving a Kick Sauber today, both of which got knocked out during qualifying 1. As Cab McKenzie there saying, trying to completely drive a mistake, just trying to get comfy in the racing seat, stood on the brake by mistake, and will have to work his way forward then from P10 in quali during the race to come. Meanwhile, also, on flying laps at the moment, we have Crytek, Ben Wright, and EdVeer has just started a flying lap now, all of them in the, going through the first sector. As over the line goes Formula Smokeezy on a new lap time, a new and improved lap time of a 28.0. That puts himself up to P3. Smokeezy, who was the fastest in quali 1. As we follow Ben right now to the end of the middle sector, 1 minute 2.91 for Ben Wright in the middle sector. We'll compare that to Crytek and EdVeer when they go through. 1 minute 2 to beat. It's a 102 flat for Crytek. It's a 101.2 for EdVeer. So EdVeer looking about 3/10 off the back of Ben Wright through the middle sector. As Ben now makes his way out of the final corner on the run to the line, trying to make that as short as possible, and goes to the top by a 100th of a second. Ben Wright 27.355 in the McLaren. Crytek and EdVeer now both on the run to the line, both slipstreaming each other. Crytek a 130.298. As who was that? Just went further up. That was the driver behind him. Crytek was EdVeer on a 28.428. So then all of the 14 drivers that we have here in qualifying 2 have set representative lap times. All of them, well, they're currently within 3 seconds of each other, with there being a few clusters of cars, the high 29s through to the low 1 minute 30s. Damir down to Schulk. You have kind of a midfield cluster in the 28s, and then the 3 leaders at the top, Ben Wright, Regent and Mirko, separated by just under a 10th of a second between all 3 of them, and all 3 of them out on track at the moment. Mirko and Ben on outlaps. Smokeezy, Jake the Lad, Welsh Sponge and Damir and Schulk are all in the pits. Cam McKenzie greyed out there after crashing at turn 4 after setting that 128.1, and what will really upset Cam McKenzie will be the fact that that car that would have gotten through to quali 3 as things stand at the moment. So we have a yellow flag in sector 3 for a very slow moving, awkwardly moving Ben Rice, it would seem, who is on an out lap, but I suppose just trying to get out of everyone's way. There you see Ben Wright making way for Regent, who is also on an out lap there. Cam McKenzie just there after what I've just said. Cam McKenzie obviously watching along on the Twitch stream. Cam McKenzie feeling confident in the car tonight, so he should be looking forward to a good one, working forward from P10. How quickly, the question will just be, how quickly can he make his way through the traffic and get back to the top of the standings, where he would argue, based off his pace, he should be, as Ben Wright back in the pits. We have 4 minutes 15 left on the clock for this, the second round of qualifying. Reminder, we're looking for the slowest 4, as someone just made a jump up the order there. That was Beton, who's just gone 2 seconds quicker to a 28.196, goes P5. Both Alpines looking quite racy today, and that drops one of the championship, both championship protagonists now, NMX James and Damir, down to P11 and P12 respectively. as Mirko retires from the session as well. I believe that's another crash. So we're going to lose 6 cars then in Quali 2. We'll ride on board with Regent to try and see what's happened, but no, Regent's lap's been invalidated and Mirko's car got removed before Regent got there. What is going on tonight? So many drivers crashing out in qualifying. As that's now 3, Cam McKenzie, Yinaudi and Mirko, who have all binned it on during qualifying. All 3 of them would have safely made it through to the next round of qualifying had they not. So disaster then for Mirko, Cam McKenzie and Yinaudi, who have just got a lot more work to do. 2 minutes 45 left on the clock now. Jake the Lad, Welsh Sponge, Krytek, Shulk are all out on track on outlaps. Damir's on a flying lap. But not a particularly fast one. Regent retires from the session in the pit lane. So too Ben Wright and now Beton as well. So that's 3 cars retiring in the pit lane that should safely make it through to Quali 3 on their 27.3s and 28.1 respectively. As NMX James starts rolling down the pit lane. One McLaren safely through to Quali 3. The other one on the cusp here needs to find 0.2 of a second to get in front of Welsh Sponge, who is now provisionally the benchmark in P8 on that 29.4. So 0.2 that NMX James needs to find, 0.3 that Damir needs to find, Krytek needs to find the better part of 0.9. So too does Shulk to have a chance at getting through. Shulk's the first car on a push lap here and is making his way through the end of the first sector. Shulk over the middle of the first sector split, down by 1.3 seconds. Shulk here trying to get into a 29-0. I'll put him right up with his teammate Jake the Lad in P6. If everything were to stay as they currently stand, as Shulk now through turns 15 and 16, right on the ragged edge there, maybe a little bit of a graze on the wall on corner exit. It's now down through to the middle sector split. We'll get another indication of his lap time. Still down by 1.2 seconds, so lost maybe about a 1/10 of a second through the middle sector. Not to worry though, this is still a good improvement on what he needs to find in regards to Welsh Sponge's provisional delta. But everyone but Damir out on track on a flying lap, so Damir is out of qualifying here at Quali 2. And Shulk now on the run to the line. 28.8 goes to P6. I was right up with his teammate of Jake the Lad. Next car to cross the line will be Jake the Lad in the other Mercedes, who's been improving on this lap. Jake the Lad over the line, 28.3, goes to P5 momentarily before getting knocked down by Welsh Sponge on a 27.9. So the new delta is Shulk on that 28.8. JEDDAH will, I don't think, get to the line from there in time. So JEDDAH, I believe, will be out of qualifying, and indeed he is. So too is Damir. So James and Krytek, what can you both do? As Krytek back to the pits, he's not improved. Krytek out of qualifying now as well. Can NMX James knock Shulk out here with this one final lap? Is coming up to the middle sector split. Needs to find 0.8 of a second on his previous personal best to try and get level with Shulk. Down by only 23 thousandths of a second through the middle sector. James not improving enough here unless he's got a lot of time left on the table in the final sector. Are we going to lose both championship protagonists in Quali 2? Round the lake down toward turn 27. James out of the final corner on the run to the line. The way that car was moving on the run to the line, it didn't really look very confident, and indeed it wasn't. So we lose then at the end of qualifying the next, these few cars. JEDDAH, James, Damir, Krytek on pace. Cam McKenzie and Mirko crashing out means that they'll be out of qualifying from here as well. And Ben Wright takes the spoils from Regent by 1/10 100th of a second, I should say. As we wait for the remaining cars to get wheeled away into the pit lane. Sponge for speed, go over the checkered flag, don't get wheeled away into the lane. As I update my starting notes. So the 6th would then we lose at quali 2. Mirko in the Alpine. Both Haas cars, Cam Mackenzie and Has Braz. NMX James in the McLaren. Damir in the Aston. And Krytek in the Williams. As there are the final standings, and look at that, Jabba's best lap time set on a set of mediums. So again, another driver trying to save some tyres for the race. Keep an eye on that for potential strategy variances on the race to come. But first, we have what is now an 8-car shootout with Ben Wright, Regent, Formula Smokeezy. I had the list in front of me, but I've just completely lost it. Jake the Lad Schulk both made it through in the Mercedes, and EdVeer too, as did Welsh Sponge. ZeniMax Jameson was up on my lap time on my second lap, but got blocked on my lap supposedly. So maybe one for the stewards there. NMX James saying he got blocked. What will the stewards make of that as we go now to quali 3? 12 minutes, 8 cars. 2 different front runners over the first 2 qualifying sessions. As now we head into quali 3, first car out on track, Regent, who was, just a reminder, 10 thousandths of a second behind Ben Wright at the top of the timing standings this qualifying session. This pole position shootout could be an absolute cracker, and with a couple of fast starting cars lower down the order than you may expect. Yanaudi, Mirko, Cam Mackenzie, I'm looking at you there, James and Damir too, the championship protagonists. I get the sense that this could be an absolute rip snorter of a race to come. Reminder, it's a 50% race around the JEDDAH Corniche circuit, and there will be a 5-minute gap between the end of quali 3 and the start of the race. As we're going to ride on board with Regent now when Regent starts his first flying lap of qualifying 3. 10 minutes to go already. The clock really does fly by when you're not paying attention. Regent there, old trick, make the final straight as long as possible, and we ride on board now. Regent in the Ferrari with the Lewis Hamilton helmet, the Roscoe Tribute helmet, down toward turn 1 and 2. A little bit of a lock up there, you heard the screech of the tyres on the loud pedal through turn 3, down toward turn 4. Don't hit that inside wall like Cam Mackenzie did. Then hug the wall through 5 and 6, and 7 comes at you very quickly. Turn 8, keep flat, don't hit that high curb. Turn 9, turn 10, watch the exit curb for turn 11. Turn 12 doesn't really exist. over the first sector split time. And now through turn 13, long bank corner. Turn 14, nice and open up, really try and minimise how much time you lose for turn 15, 16. Watch that exit wall. So easy to clip a wheel and get a puncture, or really stake up your tyre wear if you're not careful. Now, down to the middle sector split, turn 21 and 22, 1 minute 0.6 exactly for Regent through the middle sector. 23, 4, 5 and 6 don't really exist for the F1 cars. They're just flat in 8th gear with DRS wide open. Onto the brakes now for turn 27. Don't hit the outside wall. Stay to the left hand side on the run to the line. Regent then over the line, the benchmark lap time 27.764, and the shake of the wheel there suggests that Regent's quite happy with that lap. Schulk over the line in behind, 129.1 off his first flying lap. All 8 cars are out on track. Formula Smokeezy's going for 2 warm-up laps with a 46.2 as a benchmark. Beton on an out lap, the last car to start an initial flying lap. Welsh Sponge at 29.4. We've seen that from Schulk and Welsh Sponge before, that they both found a lot of time right at the end of quali 2. I wonder whether they're using a set of scrubbed softs for their initial banker laps. EdVeer, first foray into the 27s for the Red Bull driver, 27.773, 9 thousandths of a second off the back of Regent off that first flying lap. Jake the Lad, 28.770, nearly a second off the front runners provisionally, but imagine there's a bit more time to be found there. Beton just going through the final corner now. Ben Wright's on a flying lap as it stands, going through to the middle sector split. Down by nearly 7/10 of a second through the middle sector for Ben Wright. This could be an absolute flyer from the McLaren driver. He's got some slipstream from the Mercedes in front. That is the Mercedes of Schulk on the run down now to turn 27. Ben Wright hard on the brakes through the final corner. Schulk getting out the way on the pit entry. Ben Wright's still going to try and nab a little bit of the slipstream on the run to the line. Over the line, into the 26s goes Ben Wright. 26.856, 9/10 of a second clear of Regent. That's a new benchmark for them all to aim at, and what a lap that is. Is over the lap in the background. Would have been good enough for provisional pole had it not been for the McLaren, but Formula Smokeezy onto the front row on a 27.730, so 43 thousandths of a second separates P2 down to P4 in EdVeer. Beaton still on at that flying lap, the one remaining Alpine after Mirko crashed in quali 2. Through the middle sector split, 101.1, about half a second slower than Regent was, so Beaton trying to claim the no man's land between EdVeer and Jake the Lad, as there are 5 minutes 45 left on the clock. And Beaton now down to turn 27. On the loud pedal, open up the DRS as soon as you can. Beaton to the line, and it is a 28.3 slap bang in the middle of EdVeer and Jake the Lad. So there we go, the first foray is in, the first salvo of shots have been fired, and let's say Ben Wright definitely out in front there in the McLaren, definitely in a very advantageous position, it has to be said. As the McLaren makes its way back to the pits. There's 4.5 minutes left on the clock. Everyone should have time to get back to the pits and put on a new set of boots to go again. as we follow Beton on the Alpine's journey back to the pits. 4 minutes now left on the clock. How late are people going to want to leave it for their final flying runs? Well, we get an answer there from Formula Smokeezy in the Williams as Beton enters the pit lane. Smokeezy out onto the track on what is definitely a new set of soft compound tyres there for one final flying run. Smokeezy has plenty of time. I wonder whether there's enough fuel in that car for potentially 2 flying laps, or whether Smokeezy will go for two out laps, 2 warm-up laps, and then 1 push lap right at the end. Sforbulari rejoining the session there. That's good news to see. As Formula Smokeezy now round toward the final corner. Who else is out there on track? Well, we've got Regent, we have Beton, we have Welsh Sponge. Beton there, the Alpine boys doing a very quick turnaround, and that is a gleaming set of the soft compound tyres. Both Mercedes are rolling down pit exit. Hopefully then Formula Smokeezy on his way through on a flying lap here won't get held up by any traffic as through turn 2 goes Smokeezy. Rolling now, Ben Wright to EdVeer. They're the last car who will join us on the track with 2 minutes, give or take, to go. And Formula Smokeezy up through turns 8, 9, 10 and 11 and 12 to the first sector split. This will give us a good indication what's the track doing here, and Formula Smokeezy not finding time through the first sector, in fact losing about 0.12 seconds to his previous personal best, and now down through the middle sector, 14, 15, 16 now. Oh, a little bit slidey there. The back end of that Williams looked like that wanted to step out a little bit from Smokeezy. Now down through 17, 18, 19 and 20. DRS open over the middle sector split. Again, Smokeezy still not finding time here, unless there's a lot of time to be found in the final sector. But no, it looks like Smokeezy's backed out of this one. The tail light blinking there. So we look now towards those that are on a push lap, and it's Welsh Sponge, the first car on a push lap over the middle sector split, down by 6.5 tenths of a second through the first sector. Welsh Sponge finding time in the V-carb. Next over that first sector split, as Smokeezy no, back to the pits. Regent there, weaving left to right, not found time, in fact given up on that flying lap. Beaten over the first sector split, we won't get a reference for. Regent retires from the session then. Smokeezy's back in the pit lane, that's his qualifying done then. So it's the 2 Mercedes that are on their way to the first sector split. Next up, as everyone is now on their final flying lap. Jake the Lad down by 3 tenths of a second in the first sector. We'll wait to see Welsh Sponge come through the final couple of corners in a little bit, but Shork down by 6 tenths of a second in the first sector. Welsh Sponge down by 1.2 seconds in the middle sector. Welsh Sponge now out of the final corner on the run to the line. How good is this V-carb lap going to be? It's a 28.2, goes to P5 provisionally, but he is the first over the line. Smokeezy, Regent out. Welsh Sponge has set a personal best. So that's 3 cars that have finished their qualifying runs. Beaten the next car over the line on an invalidated lap. Was finding time, but invalidated, as I say. So it is now down to the 2 Mercedes and Ben Wright and EdVeer, the last cars on track. Jake the Lad through the final couple of corners into the barrier there. Jake the Lad, looks like this may not be a lap of improvement then for the Mercedes, or if it was, no, improves by 4 tenths of a second, gets in front of Beaten by 2 thousandths of a second, but there could have been maybe a bit more, I dare say. Shork now over the line, 27.9, goes up to P5. So now EdVeer and Ben Wright. EdVeer's found a 10th through the middle sector. Ben Ben Wright found about the same, sliding out of the last corner. Ben in the McLaren on the run to the line. How much can he take pole by? Can't quite find any more time in the final sector, and EdVeer slow through the final corner, won't improve. So there we go, we have our grid set for the race to come. Ben Wright on pole in the McLaren, from Formula Smokeezy in the Williams, Regent in the Ferrari, EdVeer in the Red Bull, Schulk, Welsh Sponge, Jake the Lad and Beton the top 8. As we go to see the final classifications of qualifying. There they are, the top 8, separated by exactly 1.5 seconds. Well, if this doesn't have the hallmarks for some exciting racing to come, Ben Wright claiming the win by quite a way, claiming pole by quite the way in the end, but some close gaps all the way down the field, and of course we didn't get to see what the likes of Mirko and Cam Mackenzie could do in Quali 3. So expect some hard racing in 5 minutes time when we go racing here at the JEDDAH Corniche circuit. Please folks, don't go anywhere, because I predict this one's going to be a whopper. I was looking through the Discord chat, trying to see what the drivers are saying. As we get confirmation race start at 2 minutes past the hour. Anyone in the comments section watching along, both on the Twitch stream or on YouTube, please do give us a shout. What are you reckoning is going to happen in the race to come? How far up the order can those that crashed in their respective qualifyings make it? Can Ben Wright just drive away into the Saudi Arabian night? And as for those of you who have watched the Aladdin film will know, Arabian Nights more often than not are hotter than hot in lots of good ways. Let us hope that this particular night will be perfect for racing in the Arabian desert. Carlos Sainz in the Twitch chat, back in my my Disney reference there. Thank you very much for not making me feel like an absolute spanner on that one. Did feel a bit did feel a bit funky. As the 60-second board gets shown ready for the warm-up lap. As we wait now for the last few moments, just the drivers collect themselves ready for the formation lap. Carlos Sainz predicting some racing at the back as well of the field. Carlos Sainz and Tasmanja, how often have we seen those two duelling away for the points? Yanaudi starting P5, so a reminder of the grid order will go from the back on row 10 by himself, Cinders in the Ferrari. On row 9, Formulary and Carlos Sainz, Kicksauber versus Fecab. Tasmanja will line up behind Yanaudi on row 8. Yanaudi knocked out in quali 1 due to an on-track crash. On row 7, Daymir, one of the championship protagonists, will line up in the Aston Martin just in front of Crytek. On row 6, Hasbraz starts in front of the other championship protagonist, NMX James, who felt slightly aggrieved at the end of Quali 2, having felt that Crytek was blocking him slightly on his final Quali 2 lap. On row 5, Mirko and Cam Mackenzie, two drivers also knocked out in Quali 2 due to crashing during the session. Both were looking mighty quick. However, row 4, Jake, the lad, lines up in front of Beton, Mercedes versus Alpine down there. Row 3, Schulk lines up in front of Welsh Sponge. On row 2, Regent in the Ferrari just in front of EdVeer. And on the front row of the grid, it was Smokeezy who was looking good, but Ben Wright with an astonishing 26.8 lap time puts the McLaren on pole position. And now to run you through all the tyres that everyone's starting on gives us a good idea of early race strategy. Well, the two championship protagonists disqualified from the formation lap, presumably for a little bit of contact, but it is a mix of hards and mediums. It's hards for Ben Wright, Regent, Mirko, Crytek and Tasmanja. Everyone else on the yellow wall medium tyres, expect them to be potentially slightly faster starting than those on the hards, as they will of course take slightly less time to warm up and get to racing temperature as Hasbraz leaves the session. Hopefully the Haas car can rejoin before we get to lights at. Crytek also leaving the session. As now we get ready to line up on the grid for the race. Hasbraz rejoining there. Hopefully Crytek 2 can rejoin as well. It is always unfortunate to see races get ruined by sudden drops in. As there is Crytek, just as I say it, sudden drops in internet connectivity to the EA servers. Of course, EA announcing huge news today that I haven't really mentioned in the stream. I was going to save just in case that it ever got a little dull. But no dedicated F1 26 game. Instead, it will be a paid-for DLC over the top of F1 2025, with then F1 27 being almost a reset button for the F1 franchise. but all of that is in the far future. For now, we're looking to the near future and the near 5 red lights that wait on the gantry on top of the drivers. 3, 4, 5 red lights. It's lights out and we are racing in Saudi Arabia. It looked like a good start for Ben Wright, but it's a better start for Smokeezy on the inside as we go down toward turn 1. In fact, Smokeezy on those medium tyres already through. Cutting the inside there at turn 2 was Regent next to EdVeer, but Regent looks like he'll just about keep the elbows out and make his way safely through. But we've got a pile up back there in the background. It's a Haas and an Alpine. It's Mirko is definitely involved, and a Mercedes, not a Haas, sorry, of Jake the lad. Both made it able to carry on though, both with severe front wing damage. So as they come through to the end of the first sector, EdVeer's got a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting. It's Smokeezy leading the way from Ben Wright, Regent, Welsh Sponge, EdVeer with that early 3-second penalty and some a lot of front wing damage there. Beton, Cam McKenzie's up to P7, Shulk, Hasbraz on the inside there of Shulk, NMX James, Yinaldi's up, made a great start up to P11, Formulari up to P12 from P17, Daymir, Carlos Sainz, Krytek, Tasmanja, Cinders, Mirko, Jake the lad, as Shulk goes backwards at a turn 15. Well, this midfield pack, I thought it would get a little spicy, and EdVeer already with a lot of damage and a lot of penalties, as here comes Beton around the outside. So too now Cam McKenzie trying to make his way forward to possible race strategies there. Hasbraz and NMX James going wheel to wheel on the run down toward turn 27. Here goes Cam McKenzie though on the inside of Beton, trying to send one up the inside at the final corner. But at the end of lap 1, Formula Smokeezy leads the way from Ben Wright. But here comes the McLaren driver on the way down toward turn 1. We'll have a look in the background for any battles as they come through. It's into the pits goes Krytek, not Krytek, sorry, EdVeer. Unsurprisingly, I expect to see Mirko and Jake the lad into the box as well, as NMX James, Cam McKenzie and Welsh Sponge get very racy with each other. Mirko, 10-second penalty and retiring from the session at the end of lap 1. Too much damage then on the Alpine. That just leaves Beton to carry the French flag for the rest of the race. EdVeer and Jake the lad in the box, both going on to a brand new set of the hard compound tyres. EdVeer with an early 6 seconds worth of penalties for track extension, and then dropping it, I believe, on the exit of the pit lane. Hopefully he hasn't just put that newly repaired front wing into the wall, but he has. There is damage there already. That thing is missing an end plate. Welsh Sponge is second off the leading trio already. The Formula Smokeezy leads from Ben Wright and Regent. Then it's the battle of P5, Beton, Cam McKenzie, NMX James. Then it's a little gap back to Hasbraz, Shulk, Yinaldi, Formulari, Daymir, Krytek, Cinders, Tasmanja and Carlos Sainz. They're all in a DRS train following Hasbraz. But as we head down toward turn 27, Ben Wright lining up a potential move there, keeping one in the chamber as it were, as Formula Smokeezy tries to get on the power too early out of the final corner. The back end of the Williams steps out. Ben Wright now with DRS makes an easy pass. Regent takes the purple lap though at 1:31.6 in the Ferrari, just behind Cam McKenzie's just got past Beton, and it's a mugging here for the Alpine as here comes NMX James having a look up the inside into turn 1. Nothing doing there. Yinaldi was having a look at the back of Hasbraz, but nothing going. Formulari, Daymir and Krytek going wheel to wheel. Carlos Sainz and Tasmanja, they promise some action. There's a little bit of damage there on the end plate of Tasmanja, but Carlos Sainz up to P15 at the back of the field. Meanwhile, the leaders on the way up toward turn 13 at the top end of the track. Ben Wright now back into the lead of the Grand Prix after starting on pole. We've got a yellow flag, sector 1. That is for Cinders, who has come a cropper, it would seem, through turns 10 and 11, but it's back up to racing speed by the time they get to turn 13. As we look from the helicopter shot down toward turn 27, Ben Wright 4.5 tenths the gap to Formula Smokeezy, 6 tenths further back than to Regent. Welsh Sponge dropping away from the leading trio, it has to be said, as Ben Wright claims the purple lap at 1:30.8. But here comes Formula Smokeezy looking to the inside at turn 1, nothing going there. Beton gaining on Cam Mackenzie. Not quite gaining enough. In the background, Damer's got in front of Formulari. That's Yinaudi having another look at Hasbras. This time he's committed. This time he's alongside. Lock up into turn 1. Racing room being given great respect between those two, Hasbras and Yinaudi, but no move being made by the time they make it to turn 4. Another lock up there for Yinaudi. And that's set the rear end of that Red Bull a little bit squirrely. And here comes Damir now looking to get involved in the Aston Martin. Damir trying to march his way forward. His championship rival already up into P7. It's looking like a great race here for points haul for McLaren if things were to finish as they stand, with 1 in P1 and 1 in P7. No other team would get anywhere close to that amount of point scoring, as Jake the Lad has now caught up to the back of EdVeer. This is the battle for last place. EdVeer holding off the Mercedes as it stands at the moment as we go through in toward the final sector with the leading trio. Half a second between each of them. It's Cam Mackenzie now, 1.5 seconds off the back of Welsh Sponge. Those two have a little bit of history. Look back to Season 5 and Season 6 of MSCF1 in the Club Sport and Podium divisions respectively. As Beton sticking with Cam Mackenzie here, gaining on Welsh Sponge. NMX James being left in a little bit of no man's land. So too is Shulk, that it has to be said, as Yinaudi trying to have another look here at the inside of Hasbras. Maybe a little too eager, because here comes Damir now down the main straight, already there side by side. Now with 3 abreast down the main straight, it's a mugging, and Hasbras is going to lose 2 positions here. And can Damir make 2 as he makes a look up the inside of Yinaudi? Yinaudi on the inside at 2. Makes a better exit, and oh, there's contact there in the background. Formulari and Krytek, and Formulari's been spun round, and into the wall goes the kick Sauber, and Flick spins himself back round the right way. But here comes his teammate Tasmanager. Cinders has gone through as well. It's a big lock up from Tasmanager, but Formulari back down now to P15. Carlos Sainz into the box. It's looked like a new front wing and a set of hards going on to the V-carb. EdVeer's just still about holding off Jake the Lad. It's on as even as they were at the top of the field. Formulari 3-second time penalty for track extension, multiple track extension penalty warnings, I should say. And Ben Wright maybe trying to break free a little bit from Formula Smokeezy. He's just run wide out of turn 22, and that's just allowed Regent to blast past. And now what can Regent do in the Ferrari to try and chase down Ben Wright? Cam Mackenzie now just 1.2 off the back of Welsh Sponge. Beaton sticking with the Haas car, but definitely losing a little bit of ground. Hasbras is stuck with Damir, who has dropped off a little bit from Yinaudi by the time they make it into turn 27, but still just inside DRS range, or close enough to. Yellow flag, sector 3, that's for Formulari, who's just put himself into the wall. That's the end of the Kick Saubers weekend. Not a great weekend, it has to be said. For the Kick Sauber car, 1-2 forget indeed. NMX James, 3-second time penalty for track extension. As Ben Wright now 1.3 seconds clear of Regent, who has 8 tenths back to Formula Smokeezy. Looking through the field, Beaton still sticking with Cam Mackenzie, who's still just holding at about 1.2 off the back of Welsh Sponge, but it looks like this middle sector is where Cam Mackenzie might be just a little bit faster than the V-carb in front. Formula Smokeezy now has lost DRS range to Regent. I wonder whether the Williams has gone a little too hard on its tyres a little too soon, and now it's those that are started on the hards that are at the front of the field and pulling away. It's Cam Mackenzie now just about inside the 1 second window of DRS to Welsh Sponge. Beaten there in the wings as well. Shulk's sticking with NMX James here. And looking back, everyone's all about 1 second apart from each other. So this is the closest battle on track. Welsh Sponge, Cam Mackenzie and Beaton. Then you've got Shulk and NMX James just behind as well, there at the top of the screen. It's Hasbras and Damir separated by about a second as well. Yellow flag, sector 1, that's for Cinders, who's had an issue, maybe dropped it through turn 1, turn 2, overheated those rear tyres because the back end of that Ferrari does not want to behave itself in any way, shape or form. And there is Tasmanja just behind Schultz, just going in front of NMX James. In fact, they're wheel to wheel. Where's that? That's down in toward turn 11, 12, 13, and there's contact there as Yinaudi goes into the back of NMX James. EdVeer gets a 3-second time penalty, and Yinaudi now crawling around with no front wing. I wonder whether Schultz went wide. James overtook him in a yellow flag zone. Tried to hand the position back. Yinaudi came through turn 12 completely unsighted and just ran into the back of the McLaren. But there's chaos down there at the end of the first sector on lap 7. Formula Smokeezy now 5 seconds off Regent and hemorrhaging time, as here comes Cam Mackenzie now getting past Welsh Sponge up to P4 from P10 for the Haas car, but some 12 seconds off the lead. Yellow flag, sector 3, that's for the slow moving Yinaudi. And now to make matters worse for Welsh Sponge, here comes Beton just on the back in the Alpine, but Welsh Sponge with the DRS down the main straight, trying to have a go into turn 1 on Cam Mackenzie. Nothing doing there. These three could provide us with some great racing going into deeper in the night. EdVeer, Jake the Lad still quite close with each other. Not a great weekend this is turning out to be for Red Bull so far, as Yinaudi into the pits. And indeed it is a new Red Bull front wing and a new set of hards for Yinaudi. Looking through, Daymir quite close to the back of NMX James. He's bringing Hasbraz back into play as well. So the two championship rivals potentially getting ready to do combat. And James with some front wing damage and a 3-second time penalty for track extension could be in, and maybe a little bit of spot of bother as EdVeer is out at turn 4. Where is that on the track? He's gone straight on in, looking like he's clipped the inside wall at turn 4 and gone onto the escape road at turn 5. So both Red Bulls out now, and EdVeer, who's would have had such high hopes from the start of the race, starting P4, down and out. As Regent still sticking 2.5 seconds off the back of Ben Wright. Smokeezy now 7 seconds off the leaders. Cam Mackenzie has 4.5 to Smokeezy. He's bringing Welsh Sponge along with him, but Beton, the first of the leaders into the box then, is being followed by Hasbraz, and it's a new set of hards going on. And it's a good stop from the Alpine team, and away goes Beton. Hasbraz also off a set of the mediums onto a set of the hard compound tyres. And away goes the Haas car now. The Alpine came out P10. JEDDAH will come out P13. As we look for some close battles on track, Welsh Sponge still just about inside the 1 second window of DRS on the back, off the back of Cam Mackenzie. Daymir sticking with championship rival NMX James and the McLaren. At the front of the in the mid-pack, P7, P8. Hasbraz close to the back of Tasmanja there, spinning, or half spinning there was the Ferrari of Cinders, causing a yellow flag, dropping the tail of that scarlet red car at turn 13. I was just going to say though, Hasbraz and Tasmanja very close to each other. Of course, Hasbraz, after just making that pit stop onto the brand new set of hard tyres with the help of DRS now, should make his way quite comfortably past the kick Sauber of Tasmanja as Cam Mackenzie leaves the session as Welsh Sponge goes to pit lane. Hopefully Cam can rejoin the session fairly soon. Don't have Cam Mackenzie saved as a friend, which is bad of me, so I can't give him a quick invite back. So I quickly shoot an invite off to Cam Mackenzie. Hopefully he'll be able to rejoin the session, as is one of the people who's driving hard against Welsh Sponge. Gets a 3-second penalty for track extension, and there you see runs out very wide through turns 9, 10 and 11. Hopefully Cam Mackenzie now back in the lobby, or soon to be back in the lobby, but has lost the better part of 4.5 seconds to Formula Smokeezy while being under AI control. And it's stuff like that that really can ruin a driver's race. As Daymere still sticking inside DRS range of NMX James. The gap at the front now 3.5 seconds. Ben Wright just beginning to stretch the McLaren's legs over the prancing horse of Regent behind. As Formula Smokeezy now almost shaping up, in fact is going into the pit lane. Cinders having more dramas, this time being overtaken by Hasbraz for P11. Jake the Lad gets past Tasmania now as well. Welsh Sponge gets in front of Crytek. Jake the Lad, if you remember, was caught up in the lap 1 scuffle with Mirko that eventually caused the Alpine driver to retire. Daymere, NMX James and Cam Mackenzie all into the box, and Cam Mackenzie medium going for a 2-stopper then. Aggressive move from the Haas team. As down the front straightaway there is Schulk, who was a few seconds behind Cam Mackenzie. Welsh Sponge has already gone through by a few seconds. So Cam Mackenzie then, what was the damage? It was all in all about 6.5 seconds he lost. 7.5 seconds he lost being under AI control, but Welsh Sponge now 2.5 seconds off the back of Formula Smokeezy. Such a tyre demanding track. The undercut really is very powerful, as Beton now has in fact undercut Formula Smokeezy. Came in first, put fresh tyres on and got out in front of the driver he was racing. So really good move there by the Alpine car as NMX James gets in front of Taz manager. James has come out behind Daymere by quite a distance, it has to be said, as Jake the Lad now gets past Cinders. What is that gap? That's 3-4 seconds. It looks like James has lost in the pit lane as Carlos Sainz picks up a 3-second time penalty for track extension, as Smokeezy has now got past Beton, but Beton sticking with the Williams car down towards turn 27. He'll get another bite of the DRS down the front straightaway. James gets past Cinders now as well. And now he's got DRS down the front straightaway, taking candy from a baby and taking a podium baying position away from Formula Smokeezy. But watch for Cam Mackenzie. He's just made his way past Crytek, who's gone into the lane. Cam Mackenzie medium here, looking to go racy, and I presume will go onto a set of softs in about 7 to 8, maybe 9 laps time, and really pump in some hot laps right at the end. As also into the pits goes Cinders in the Ferrari. Meanwhile, the gap at the front, the two leaders still yet to make a pit stop. 3.3 seconds the gap is holding roughly at, but they have pretty much the final sector all to themselves. As how much longer will these two want to go on these set of hard tyres? Another couple of laps and a set of mediums will easily get them to the end, based off what we've seen already. As Carlos Sainz and Cinders wheel to wheel. In fact, contact there. Cinders fresh out the pit lane. Ghosting system not having a great time there on the exit of turn 3. As Ben Wright into the pits for McLaren. It's a new set of mediums. And away he goes back into the fast lane. Should come out comfortably in front of Beton and Smokeezy, who are still going wheel to wheel down toward turn 27. Last lap it was Smokeezy who was overtaken very quickly on the main straight. This time I get the sense it's going to be Beton. Not much point trying to defend it. If you're the Alpine car, it's a little bit inevitable. Smokeezy to the inside, up the inside, and is ahead by the time they hit the apex at turn 1. It's now just about Beton picking a clean line and minimising the time loss in the overtake, as Jake the Lad now inside the 1 second of Daymere, and NMX James not that far behind either. So has anyone still yet to make a pit stop? Let's have a look. Yes, Taz manager, who I say that, is just gone into the pits, and Regent, the last two cars to make a pit stop. Regent leading the way by 12.5 seconds to Ben Wright. Oh, it looks like it looked almost there for a second. That Ben Wright has that Regent had an issue, but of course with the pit lane here at the JEDDAH Corniche circuit, cutting turn 1 and spitting you out on the exit of turn 2, it's not as much of a time loss as you would think, as Carlos Sainz and Cinders both in the pit lane. Is that going to mean the Regent's going to have to queue behind in the Ferrari? Yes, he does, a little bit. He's probably lost well, a couple of seconds as the mechanics are slow to get to work, and that is well, that's going to really sting Regent's race as away he goes. Now where's Formula Smokeezy and Beton coming down the main straight? Smokeezy's gone purple, and they'll both go past Regent, who had to wait for the Ferrari mechanics to reset themselves as Beton picks up a 3-second time penalty and gets, there it is, spat out just in front of Regent, who's going to come a hell of a lot faster though, and goes around the outside at turn 4. I wonder whether Beton gave that one up a little bit. Knowing that that wasn't really his fight at all. But Regent now 1.1 off the back of Formula Smokeezy and 13.4 seconds off the lead of the Grand Prix. Not where he was, not at all. So he's lost about 10 seconds in the pit lane, and with the undercut as well. That is definitely the hurt locker there for Formula Smokeezy, as Cam Mackenzie now 1.2 seconds off the back of Welsh Sponge. Cam Mackenzie, reminder, has another stop to make, has gone medium so far on the strategy, as NMX James and Daymere are now wheel to wheel, and Daymere with some sizable front wing damage there on the Aston Martin. Didn't really fight that one too hard. James makes his way up into P9 now, as Ben Wright goes purple on a 1 minute 30.3 on that new set of medium tyres that he's just put himself onto. Carlos Sainz, another 3-second time penalty for track extension. Formula Smokeezy now under serious threat from Regent down the main straight. Fresh hards versus fresh mediums. Shouldn't be too hard, but Smokeezy back up the inside at turn 1. That's forced Regent to cut the inside at turn 2. Gives the place back up, and now there's wheel banging on the way down toward turn 3. There's still wheel to wheel by the time they get to turn 4. Regent around the outside, has to track extend a little bit at the inside at turn 5, gives it up for turn 6, 7 and 8. I think sensible decision just to avoid any chance of a penalty there, but hard racing there between Smokeezy and Formula Regent, but great racing regardless. Daymere into the pits to replace that front wing damage, and now down to turn 13 we go. Regent and Formula Smokeezy. Williams versus Ferrari. This feels a little bit like the early 90s at the top of the field, but with a McLaren streaking away, it could be said it could even be the late 80s, truth be told. As Formula Smokeezy and Regent now with DRS in play. Regent shaping one up the inside at turn 21. Not often you get to see a move done there. And from the reverse shot, it looked like we were heading toward the scene of a very big accident. But thankfully, these two drivers skilled enough to avoid any such drama. And now on the run down toward turn 27, Regent with the DRS open, almost trying to slide his way past the Williams there, as Yanaudi inside DRS range of NMX James. Cam Mackenzie 2 inside that of Welsh Sponge, and now Regent, he's going to have to go the long way round at turn 1 again. Smokeezy's not going to give it up, late on the brakes, and again they're so close, and Regent this time track extends and gets a 3-second penalty for it, and as a result gets his elbows well and truly out and puts Smokeezy almost into the wall at the exit of turn 2. Hopefully no damage, but hard racing. Whether it's clean racing or not is another matter, but definitely hard racing and definitely exciting racing. No complaints from me in the commentary box as we now look back to Cam Mackenzie, who is on an attack drive of the ages. Medium reminder of his strategy so far. Has to make another stop onto a set of softs, one would presume, toward the end of the race. Needs to clear Welsh Sponge very, very quickly indeed. Who else is on the attack? Yanaudi on NMX James, the gap at 6.5 tenths of a second as they wind their way through the snaily bit at the end of the first sector. Meanwhile, Formula Smokeezy versus Regent. The battle goes on for another lap. Smokeezy sticking with Formula Regent, but we saw it in the first stint. The Williams quite hard on its tyres. Wouldn't surprise me if in a couple of laps it drops off the pace, but Smokeezy looking to the inside and the out, but Regent having none of it and planting the Ferrari well and truly in the middle of the track. Cam Mackenzie's got in front of Welsh Sponge into the final corner. Those two now just 3.5 seconds off the back of Beton. Regent covers the inside line at turn 1. Smokeezy, the up and under, absolute perfection by Smokeezy, but can't quite make it stick on the exit at turn 2. And now down toward turn 4 we go. These two are giving us such drama here in the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. We look back, Welsh Sponge, Cam Mackenzie, 2.7 now off the back of Beton. Watch for that battle to commence well and truly in a little bit. NMX James covers the inside from Yanaudi going into turn 1. Bit slow on the exit of turn 2. And is that going to give Yanaudi a little sense of a move down toward turn 4? No, he's too far back on this occasion. And while all of that's happened, guess what? Regent and Smokeezy are getting back toward the part of the track where they can go well and truly properly racing with each other. 3 DRS zones separated by 3 corner sequences. And they hurtle their way down toward turn 21 and 22. Smokeezy this time a little bit further back than we've seen on laps previously, but now gets a double bite of DRS. Down toward turn 27 they go. Meanwhile, Ben Wright, it's now nearly 20 seconds clear. Smokeezy not shaping a move, but not quite going to go for it down the inside at the final corner, and now down the main straightaway. How close can he stay? He needs a good exit here. DRS wide open. He's in the slipstream. He's in the wheel tracks, and he's gaining now. He can't go to the inside. Regent's got that one covered. And there's some classic racing there. Beton and Cam Mackenzie both into the box then for Alpine and for Haas. I imagine this will be a set of soft compound tyres going on for both. No, it's a set of mediums for Beton, but he was just on the hards. It's a set of softs for Cam Mackenzie, and away he goes back out into the race. Watch for these two coming through the field at a vast rate of knots as through goes NMX James, Hasbraz and Yanaudi. In fact, it's going to be close between the two Haas cars. Damir is out of the session. Smokeezy with a 3-second time penalty. So all the drama happening there. Where's that? Damir out at turn 23. So one championship protagonist out of the runnings. As Krytek also into the pits for a 2-stopper. As there are lap cars now just in front of this pairing here, so it'll be interesting to see. It's Carlos Sainz and Regent who are and Cinders, I should say, who are having their own battle, but will Regent pick up DRS at any point to help him defend his position? As Welsh Sponge now 9 seconds back to Shulk, who has 4.5 then back to Beton. So 13.5 seconds Beton has to make up to regain the P4 that he was fighting for. He's got 2.5 back to Cam Mackenzie as well, so watch out for a fast moving Haas there. Yanaudi versus NMX James right on the back of Hasbraz. This battle could be very exciting too as well. Regent held off Smokeezy down toward turn 1. Carlos Sainz and Cinders still going at it. Hasbraz, NMX James and Yanaudi wheel to wheel through turn 27, now down the main straight. The two behind will have DRS on the Haas in front, but Yanaudi with the straight line speed gets in front of one and covers the inside to prevent the championship leader sending one up the inside at the first corner. Smokeezy now beginning to lose time out. Cam Mackenzie's out. Cam Mackenzie is out. He's done it again at turn 4. I don't believe it. Straight on at turn 4, too greedy. Cam Mackenzie repeated his mistake from qualifying. Becomes the 5th car to retire from the Grand Prix. And now Beton has a load of time behind him. He's free behind. He just needs to think about those in front, and Hasbraz has been overtaken now by NMX James and Yanaudi, so a bad stint of the race then for Haas. But Smokeezy has gained a lot of time back on Regent in the last couple of moments. He's back inside us, going straight on there at turn 27 is MSC Cinders. Carlos Sainz with a lot of front wing damage as well. Cam McKenzie leaving the session, this time for good. Sainz into the pits. Cinders carries on. So whatever drama was going on there, I'm not sure, but Ben Wright losing a little bit of time in the last few laps to Regent and Smokeezy, but I don't think that'll bother him considering he's 18.5 seconds up the road with 6 laps to go. Beton now, 1.7 off the back of Schulk. NMX James and Yanaudi still going wheel to wheel as Hasbras has gone into the pits. NMX James then up to P7 from P12 where he started the Grand Prix. Reminder, these are the tyres that everyone is on. 7-lap-old mediums for Ben Wright, 6-lap-old mediums for Regent, 9-lap-old hards for Smokeezy, 10-lap-old hards for Sponge and Schulk, 2-lap-old mediums for Beaton, 9-lap-old hards for NMX James, 12-lap-old hards for Yanaudi, 6-lap-old mediums for Jake the Lad, brand new softs for Hasbras, 2-lap-old mediums for Crytek, 7-lap-old mediums for Tasmanja, 6-lap-old mediums for Cinders, and brand new softs for Carlos Sainz. Penalty count 3 seconds apiece for Regent, Smokeezy, Sponge, Beaton, NMX James, Hasbras and Cinders, and 9 seconds for Carlos Sainz. Remember those numbers as we get in toward the checkered flag, because it means Smokeezy and Regent are racing wheel to wheel for genuine position and not just an aggregate timing, as Smokeezy there gives Regent a little bit of a nudge at the apex of the first corner. Beaten now right up on the back of Schulk. And with DRS you get the sense this should be fairly easy. Brand new mediums on the way past. Up the inside at the first corner. Now he needs to pull a 3-second gap on Schulk to secure the position on aggregate. As Welsh Sponge now retires from the session. Is it another one? An incident at the inside at turn 4? Yes, it is. We lose Welsh Sponge, who started P6 and will be the 6th retirement from the Grand Prix. So many cars. It's so easy to be so greedy at the apex of turn 4 and pick up as yellow flag in sector 1. That is for Carlos Sainz, who has had an issue at turn 10, I believe. Interesting place to have a half spin there, but Carlos Sainz gets himself pointing the right way and carries on. So back to Regent versus Smokeezy, the closest battle on track. We'll keep an eye on Yanaudi versus NMX James as well. Regent's having to cover the inside at the final corner. Smokeezy playing some DRS games, not willing to give up the attacking advantage he now has down the main straight in the wheel tracks, in the slipstream, and the DRS. Pulls out alongside. He's going to have to go the long way round at turn 1. This time it's Regent who goes late on the brakes, and Smokeezy gets a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting. I'm not sure whether Regent made the corner as well with all 4 wheels on the track, but now they make their way through turns 4 and 5 and 6 and 7, where we've seen so many cars have issues. NMX James versus Yanaudi down the main straight. This pair go as well. This is the battle for P6, but Yanaudi, without having any penalties to his name at the moment, could stand to gain quite a lot of time on aggregate if things were to end as they are. As Beaton now already has the 3-second gap back to Schulk, and with Welsh Sponge retiring, he no longer has to worry about trying to catch any cars in front. Smokeezy versus Regent, Yanaudi versus James, the 2 closest battles on track. Everyone else has got pretty much 5 seconds or more between them on track. As Formula Regent now with DRS down toward the final corner, again not willing to commit a move up the inside, but now down the main straightaway again. We've seen the stout defence from Formula Smokeezy, sending one from a long way back into the first corner. Can Regent get so far ahead? There's a little bit of wheel banging as Smokeezy tries to come across and open up the line. This time there's contact. They both go straight on. Smokeezy trying to squeeze Formula Regent out wide, wasn't having any of it, and they both lock up and they both go straight on, but this time Smokeezy gives up the position. Whether to avoid a penalty or not in game, we will never truly know. But NMX James now with DRS on the back of Yinaudi as this pair go on to lap 23 of 25. NMX James with DRS makes that overtake look very easy indeed. As back at the front of the field, Regent versus Smokeezy. Down out of turn 13. Through 15 and 16, Smokeezy still comfortably inside DRS range, but you get the sense that maybe whether the mediums on Regent are beginning to go or the hards on Smokeezy are beginning to go, but this time there was going to be a move down towards turn 21, and again Smokeezy comes across trying to kill the momentum of Regent, but in doing so ran out wide through turn 22, and that's going to allow Regent now with DRS to go clean around the outside down toward turn 27. There you go, Regent back up into P2 now as they head on the brakes for the final corner. The leader Ben Wright is already onto the penultimate lap of the race. These two are about to join him on that milestone. Lap 24 of 25, Regent covering the inside. Smokeezy's too far back this time around to have a go into turn 1. As we look back now to look at the battle of NMX James and Yinaudi. Yinaudi's got DRS here down toward turn 27. Hard on the brakes, nothing going. Can Yinaudi get a good exit here from the hairpin and line one up? But he does, remember, he does have older hard tyres than anyone else on the field. He was the first to stop on what, about lap 9 I want to say. So but he doesn't need to make the overtake, he just needs to stay inside 3 seconds of NMX James to pick up the free position. Meanwhile, back to the battle at the front, and there's contact this time between Smokeezy and Regent, and there was damage there. Smokeezy lost quite a lot of his front wing as they went through turn 15 and 16. Regent trying to look after the tyres maybe a little bit, maybe those mediums giving away, has to be earlier on the brakes, but can Smokeezy stay with him with the lack of DRS to have a go at any more point? Meanwhile, Ben Wright has started the final lap of the race. Smokeezy still inside DRS, but with that damage, I don't think he's close enough. Can he make a pit stop and make it out in front of Beton? No, I don't think he can, so Smokeezy's going to have to limp home here for P3. I would imagine with only a lap to go is a smart move. So Regent now should be clear enough into P2. We look further back, NMX James versus Yinaudi. This battle's still going on. Yinaudi, this time much closer with DRS. Doesn't want to go for the move into turn 27. Knows he'll get an extra bite of the cherry down toward turn 1. Just needs a good exit here for the hards to give him everything they've got out of the final corner. Open up the DRS flap in the rear ring. And down toward turn 1, he's shaping a move. He's showing the yellow nose of the Red Bull. Try and scare the McLaren a little bit, but no, nothing going there down toward turn 1. Meanwhile, the race leader, Ben Wright, is already into the final sector of the track. He is driven absolutely supremely. Once he got back past Smokeezy, going on to lap 3, he's never had to look back. He's been clear and away. The fastest car, the fastest driver in this race today. He's out of the final corner now. Ben Wright, the reserve McLaren driver, is weaving because he knows what a race this has been, and he knows that he will win from here. Ben Wright wins the Grand Prix, and what a drive it has been as well. Carlos Sainz will come home P13, 1 lap down. As we wait to see who will come home P2, it will indeed be Regent then, who brings the Ferrari home for P2. Smokeezy then P3 with the front wing damage. Beton then will come home P4. What a drive that's been from P8 on the grid. And an aggressive 2-stop strategy as well. Schalk will come home P5, exactly where he started for the Mercedes car. NMX James will lead home Yinaudi, but Yinaudi with will take P6 on aggregate. What a drive there from P15. NMX James will be quite happy with that in P7, considering his championship rival did not finish. Hasbras versus Krytek. Krytek will take P9, will take P8 here. He's trying to take it on track and may just do so on the run. To the line. It's going to be wheel to wheel as they go over, but Krytek will definitely get it on aggregate, as Hasbras had a 3-second time penalty, so Krytek then will take P8. Hasbras had it on track by 15 thousandths of a second. He had P9. It will be P10 and a puncture there for Jake the Lad. The right rear blowing up on the last lap. And Jake the Lad crawls the Mercedes home over the line for P10. And we will see the final classifications, and I will announce my driver of the day. But here are the final standings. Podium celebrations. Yanaudi gets the in-house driver of the day. Ben Wright got the fastest lap as well as the race win. Didn't lead every lap and wasn't fastest in every session, so he can't quite claim the Grand Slam. But there are the final classifications. And it was drama. 6 cars retired in the end. Mirko retired on lap 1 after the early damage. Formulary, EdVeer, Daybir, Cam McKenzie, Welsh Sponge, I believe, all then retired at turn 4, claiming so many scalps it did. Sainz, P13, Tasmanja, Cinders and Tasmanja, the 3 lapped cars, and then the top 10 were all finished on the lead lap. But my driver of the day, a strong argument has to be made for Ben White, absolutely dominating from the front of the field. But my driver of the day goes to the driver who started P15 and finished P6, Yanaudi in the Red Bull, kept his nose clean, provided us with some great racing toward the end. Yanaudi gets Sharp's vote for driver of the day. But folks, thank you so much for watching. I've been Sharp. This has been another cracking instalment of Season 7 in MSC F1. That was round 3. Ben Wright, your race winner. Yanaudi got my vote for driver of the day. I hope to see you all again on Thursday evening for round 3 of the No Assists League. But for now, good night, my friends, and goodbye.